My fiancé called me useless while dumping me at my own birthday party. He didn't know I secretly built his entire $1 million company. The gift box was wrapped in shimmering gold paper, tied with a perfect silk ribbon. It was the last one. Everyone at my 30th birthday party was gathered around, their phones out, filming. My fiancé, Mark, stood beside me, his arm wrapped possessively around my waist, a smug smile playing on his lips. I felt a surge of pure joy, my hand resting protectively on the small, still flat curve of my stomach where our baby was growing. This was the moment. After I opened his gift, I was going to tell everyone our wonderful news. Mark said, his voice booming for the crowd. This one is special, everyone. A gift to mark a new beginning for the most important woman in my life. A collective awe rippled through our friends. I beamed at him, my heart so full I thought it might burst. I carefully untied the ribbon and lifted the lid. Inside, nestled on a bed of black tissue paper, was not a piece of jewelry or a keepsake, but a single, folded white card. I picked it up, confused. His handwriting, usually a lazy scrawl, was a sharp, angry print. It read, "I'm leaving you. The investors are in, the app is taking off, and I'm done carrying dead weight. You're useless and I deserve better. Have a nice life." The air was sucked out of my lungs. The cheerful chatter of the party faded into a distant roar. I read the words again, and then a third time, my brain refusing to process them. Dead weight? Useless? This had to be a joke. A cruel, terrible joke. I looked up at Mark, my eyes pleading for an explanation. His smile was gone, replaced by a look of cold, dismissive contempt. He took his arm from around my waist as if he'd been touching something unclean. He announced to the silent, watching crowd, "It's over. I'm moving on. To bigger and better things." And then, the worst part happened. A few of his friends, the sycophants who orbited him like desperate moons, snickered. The snicker grew into laughter. My own friends stood frozen, their faces a collage of shock and pity. Mark turned and walked toward the door without a backward glance. The laughter followed him out. The room was a vacuum of horror. 20 pairs of eyes were fixed on me, waiting for me to shatter. They were waiting for the tears, the screams, the collapse. So I did the one thing none of them expected. I lifted my head, took a deep, steadying breath, and smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the kind of smile you see on a predator that has just spotted its prey. Because Mark, in all his arrogant glory, had forgotten one very important thing. He called me useless, but he had no idea that I was the ghost in his machine. He didn't know what I could do. Mark wasn't a genius coder. He was a salesman, a charismatic face who was brilliant at pitching ideas. Our app, Nexus, a revolutionary social organizing platform, was his idea, his concept. But the code? The intricate, complex architecture that made it all work? That was all me. For 2 years, I had worked from our spare bedroom, fueled by caffeine and his promises that one day, everyone would know my contribution. I wrote every single line of the back-end code, designed the database, and built the security protocols. He took my work, called it his own in investor meetings, and basked in the glory of being the tech world's new wonderkind. And I let him. I loved him. As I stood there amidst the ruins of my birthday party, the cruel note clutched in my hand, my shock morphed into a cold, diamond-hard fury. He hadn't just left me. He hadn't just humiliated me, he had tried to erase me. And he had done it right after securing the $10 million funding round that was built entirely on my labor. My best friend Maya rushed to my side. Maya whispered, "Clara, what do we do? Do I go after him? Do I start breaking things?" I just shook my head, my smile never wavering. I said, my voice chillingly calm, "No, we do nothing. We let him go." The party ended quickly after that. My true friends stayed to help clean up the mess, their hushed apologies filling the space where laughter had been. Once they were gone, I went into the spare bedroom, my office, my sanctuary, the heart of Nexus. Mark was smart enough to change the passwords to the company servers, but he wasn't smart enough to remember that the original source code, the foundational building blocks of his entire empire, was stored on my personal, encrypted hard drive. And he definitely wasn't smart enough to know about the kill switch I had coded into the system a year ago. A little backdoor I built for myself after he got a little too friendly with a female consultant at a tech conference. I'd called it my insurance policy. I never thought I'd have to use it. For the next month, I did nothing. I let him get comfortable. I watched from the sidelines as his Instagram filled with pictures of him and his new girlfriend, a two-year-old influencer on yachts, celebrating their success. He was on the cover of a tech magazine, hailed as a visionary. In the article, he talked about the countless sleepless nights he spent writing the code himself from the ground up. The lie was so profound it was almost impressive. Meanwhile, I was making my own plans. I saw a doctor and heard my baby's heartbeat for the first time, a steady, strong rhythm that became my reason for everything. I hired a lawyer who specialized in intellectual property theft and laid out the whole story, providing him with time-stamped files, email chains, and server logs that proved my authorship of the code. My lawyer, Mr. Davies, said with a grim smile, "This is more than enough. When do you want to strike?" I replied, "Not yet. I want to wait for the moment it will hurt the most." That moment came 2 months after my birthday. Nexus was rolling out its biggest update yet, a premium subscription service that was projected to make them millions in the first quarter. The launch day was a media frenzy. Mark was doing live interviews, oozing charm and confidence. He was on top of the world. At 3 p.m. that day, as he was live on a national news broadcast, I logged into my system, navigated to the back door, and typed a single command line. Execute, chaos, protocol. I didn't delete anything. I didn't steal their money. I did something far more insidious. My code triggered a subtle but catastrophic bug. It started randomly linking user profiles. Private calendars were suddenly public. Confidential messages were being sent to random contacts. The revolutionary social organizer became a revolutionary social disaster. Within minutes, social media was on fire. Number Nexus fail was trending worldwide. The app's ratings plummeted to 1 star. Users were deleting their accounts in droves. The stock of their parent company, which had just gone public, was in freefall. I sat back in my chair, watching the chaos unfold on my second monitor, and ate a pickle. Mark's public persona crumbled in real time. His confident smile on the live broadcast faltered as a producer whispered frantically in his ear. The color drained from his face. He started sweating under the studio lights. The visionary genius was suddenly just a terrified man who had no idea how to fix the machine he claimed to have built. The next day, my lawyer sent a cease and desist letter to Nexus and its board of investors, along with an undeniable package of evidence proving I was the sole creator of the source code. The letter also detailed a catastrophic security flaw that I, and only I, knew how to fix. The chaos wasn't a bug. It was a feature of my ownership. The investors panicked. The media went into a feeding frenzy. Mark was publicly fired from his own company. His name became a synonym for fraud, and that's when he showed up. It was just after midnight. I was woken up by the sound of someone screaming my name. I went to the window and looked down. There he was, standing in the middle of my quiet suburban street, illuminated by a single streetlight. He was disheveled, drunk, and utterly broken. He screamed, his voice cracking with desperation. "Clara, please, I know it was you. You have to help me. They're going to sue me for everything." He looked up at my window, his face wet with tears. He cried, "I'm sorry. Okay? I was an idiot. I was stupid. But you can't do this. We built it together, you and me." The rage and hurt I had been carrying for 2 months just evaporated. All I felt was a hollow sort of pity. He didn't get it. He still thought he was a part of it. I walked downstairs, opened the front door, and stood on the porch, the cool night air on my skin. He stumbled toward me, reeking of expensive whiskey and failure. He begged, "Please, Clara, tell me how to fix it. I'll give you anything. Half the company. All of it. Just don't let me lose everything." I looked at this man who had called me useless, who had laughed at my pain, who had tried to steal my future. And I finally gave him my real, genuine smile. I said, my voice quiet and clear, "The note you gave me was wrong, Mark. It should have said, 'Without you, I'm useless.' You didn't build anything. You were just the box the product came in, and now the box is empty." He stared at me, his mouth hanging open, the truth finally dawning in his drunken eyes. I stepped back inside and closed the door, locking it firmly behind me. I didn't have to watch him fall apart. I could hear his pathetic sobs through the door as I walked back upstairs, my hand on my belly, feeling the gentle flutter of a kick. He had wanted a new beginning, and he'd given me one. Just not the one either of us had expected.